You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology,
The broadcast
business,
is now
New York
starting.
Times
All attendees
bestsellers,
are in
even
listen-only
children's
mode.
books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 24th day of September, 2020. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. If you can't see the screen I have up, go to our homepage at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. You'll get an email right before the show reminding you the show's about to start, and in that email will be a link that you click, and that gives you your one-click access. The best part is it also gives you access to the chat box. This way you can ask questions and even participate in the discussion. Now, on the days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, not to worry, point any internet-connected browser to CFRN.net/live, and there you'll find a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds. You just won't have access to the chat box. We also stream live during this broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I think we got YouTube back online. I'm going to put Facebook and Twitter online here in a bit while Michael is talking. But let's open with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we praise you for your goodness, for your generosity. We trust you for faithfully preserving us through good times and bad. We serve you with all that we have. We glorify you in our plans, our activities, at work, at play, at home. Wherever we are, we know that you are there with us. We speak of you to others in response to your great love for us. We live for you in every thought, word, and deed by the power of your Spirit. You are the God of endurance and encouragement. Help us to live in harmony with each other, that together we may, with one voice, glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Happy Thursday. Let's take a look at the numbers from around the world. These are the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. We'll start here in the U.S. Right now, the Dow is up 130 points. NASDAQ is up 127. S&P 500 is up 23. And the Russell 2000 basically unchanged. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 8 cents, trading $39.85 last. Gold up $5.60. Silver down 39 cents. Gold traded last 1874, silver last 2271. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei down 258 points. It's a drop of a little over 1%. Shanghai down 56. That's a drop of 1.75%. The Hang Seng down 431, and that's a drop of almost 2%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 76, a little over 1%, 1.25. The DAX down 36, the CAC down 39, which is almost 1%. That gives us a red day in Asia. It's a red day in the UK, but it is a big green Radio Thursday here in the US of A. So Michael, if you're ready, you can take it away. Michael will give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. After that, I'll be back. We'll go over the Logic 247 alerts. We'll go over the Concierge Trade Alerts. And of course, today's Thursday, so we will talk with Dr. Tom today. Michael, if you are ready, and if you're not, then we'll do this. All right, here's where we stand so far for the week with Logic 247. Okay, now we have two alert services. Logic 247, those are published as opportunity presents itself live in real time. An alert could come out at 2 a.m., it could come out at 2 p.m. Again, whenever opportunity presents itself, and these are global markets. They open Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's when we open for business. And the alert channel stays open all the way through Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern when the markets close. And so far this week in Logic 247, We've had a total of 41 alerts issued. 8 of them never triggered. Still waiting on the results of 1. So we've had 32 actionable alerts so far this week. 1 has been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade, less when possible, using the 3-step methodology that we teach all of our traders. So far this week, only 3% of actionable alerts have been stopped out. That's a very unusual week because we typically average 20% on any given week. So, still, we have the remainder of today and all of tomorrow to add to this. And again, Michael, if you're ready, not sure if you're here yet. Okay, he's still not here quite yet. So let's do this. I'll jump down to the channel. Okay, these are the Logic 247 alerts. This is the last alert that went out. It was to be short on the NQ, and then we had a short on the Russell. We had a short on the Dow. That one dropped $620 per contract traded. On a short, this number, at the very top number, in parentheses there, that is the swing low. On a long, the number will be the swing high of that move. So, selling the Dow at 26,640, down to the swing low, 26540 was the third target. $620 per contract traded. A short on the S&P. Thumbs up, of course, means price found the target. Here's a short on gold, $330 per contract traded. That's what the market made available. This is the one we're still waiting on results for. Silver, short, S, short, T, initial target, PS, potential support. Okay, this trade was worth $225 per contract traded. Here's a short on gold. That one was good for $600 per contract traded. Here's crude, short at $39.45. That was worth $330 per contract traded. Here is a short on the NQ. That one was good for $2,520 per contract traded. Here is a short on the Russell. That one was good for almost $2,000 per contract traded. Here's a short on the Dow. That one was good for $1,500 per contract traded. Here is a short on the S&P. That was good for $225 per contract traded. Now, today is Thursday the 24th, so we just finished Wednesday, so now we're up into Tuesday. Here's a short on silver, $75 per contract. Crude, short, $130 per contract. There he is.
Hey, here I am.
Long on the NQ.
Here I am.
$454 per contract. Here's a long on the Russell. The market made $160 per contract available. And on the Dow, long, $160 per contract available. Here is a long on the S&P, $87.50 per contract. Here is a hedge on the S&P, short, $112 per contract available. And on the NQ, long, $360 per contract traded. Here is a long on the S&P. Here is a hedge on silver to be short. That one good for $1,125 per contract traded. Got a no trigger. And here's a crude where we hit the target, $290 per contract traded. NQ long, $120 per contract traded. Here's the stop out, Russell, okay? The most we risk is $300 per contract per trade, less when possible, based on that three-step methodology. And then we had a long on the Dow, and we had a long on the S&P, another no trigger. Here was a short on silver, 3 no triggers. Here's a short on the NQ, a no trigger. This was a short on the Russell, short on the Dow, and a short on the S&P. The very first alert that came out of the gate Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, that's when this channel opens, okay? The very first trade coming out of the gate Sunday night, $687.50 per contract traded. That's what the market made available, okay? Now, last week, we issued a total of 68 alerts, 16 never triggered. We had 52 actionable, 5 were stopped out. That's 10% of actionable alerts. So that was an unusual week because we average most weeks 20% being stopped out. And we're in the midst of another unusual week because, as I just showed you, we currently, so far this week, with Logic 247, out of 32 actionable alerts, 1 has been stopped out. So we still have the rest of today and tomorrow to go. So Michael, if you're ready, take her away.
Okay, I am ready. All right, let's bring the charts over here to.
When I come back, guys, we'll take a walk through the Concierge Trade Alerts. Those were the logic alerts. I'll explain the Concierge, how they differ. We'll walk through those. And then Dr. Tom joining us at the top of the hour. All right, Michael, I've got your charts up. It is all yours.
Okay, here we go. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 24th day of September, 2020. Today, well, we had a decent amount of trades today. But we made 7 ticks on gold. We didn't trade crude at all. We were break even on the euro. We had 1 euro trade and we're break even on that. But we made 34 ticks on the ES. So we were up $495 a contract this morning. Today it took 61 minutes and 5 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 12 trades this morning. Doing the YBR trades, we're up $275. So on the month now, we're up $10,723. That's over 17 trading days, averaging $630 per contract per 2-hour trading day. We are now on our 153rd consecutive day of making our goal for the day. And on the year now, we're at $74,179. That's over 178 days, averaging $416 per contract per 2-hour trading day. All right, so let's get into the trades. Now, if you're not part of the CFRN family yet and you want to become part of the CFRN family, go to EminiFuturesTrading.com. EminiFuturesTrading.com. And there you will find everything you need to become part of the CFRN trading family. Now, let's look at gold first. Okay. Hold on. I'm scrolling over. Gonna find it. Here it is. All right, so this morning in gold, in the beginning, there was a lot of action in gold in the beginning, and I missed it because my DOMs kept locking up. But then our first trade here on gold was a break even. Okay, our next trade on gold, I missed that one. Then I picked up 5 ticks right here. Then I think right here was another break even. Now there's some YBR trades in here, like right there and right there and right there. And right here and right here. And we had another break even right there. And here we picked up 2 ticks to put us at +7 on gold. And that was all the trading that we did on gold this morning. Now I kept reconnecting this morning. I don't know if it was just me or if it was I don't know if it was just me, but I didn't have an issue with the GoToWebinar. I only had an issue with the charting platform. So I don't know. I'm operating remotely right now from Oak Isle. But there was a short here during the break, and another I'm trying to scroll back right now, but it's not letting me. It's not letting me do anything right now. The charts are frozen. And this has happened several times today. Here we go. There we go. All right. So on the euro, we had just one trade, and it was a break-even trade. And I will show it to you in just a moment here. Oh, anyway, let's look at what we got. Okay, well, here it is right here. We had a long trade right there, and it was a break-even trade. And we had a YBR long right there that worked out well. Yeah, the euro wasn't giving much up today. Then we get into the break in here. There was a long there, a long there, and a long there, and a long there. But during the trading session this morning, there wasn't that much going on. Crude oil was the same way. We didn't trade crude at all this morning. No, I'm waiting for the charts to catch up right now. Again, I'm working remotely, so the internet, though speed test says it's good enough, it seems a little sketchy. There was a YBR long right here. This was also this was a trend line trade right here. This was the YBR trade right here. That was on crude, and that worked out pretty well. Then getting into the morning, we had another one right here. That's not one there. We had a trend line trade right there, a long trade going into the high of the day, YBR trade, and a BBC trade right here. Moving down, that worked out well. Now, when you get those, the BBC type trade or the trend line trade and the YBR trade at the same time, those are really high probability trades. Okay. Right here, we had a long opportunity that I missed. And, okay, I'm just reading the message that just came up. Then we got really choppy in here, and we really didn't have much that we could do. And right over here, during the break, we had a long opportunity right here that would have worked out just a little bit, enough to get you stopped to break even. And that was it for crude. Now, on the ES, we had a bunch of trades today on the ES. Sadly, most of them were break even, but, well, not most of them, a good portion of them were break even. But we ended up pretty well on the ES today. Let me scroll back to the beginning here. Come on, charts, catch up. Okay, we're loading data here. It's going to take a second. Well, I'll just tell you, our first trade on the ES was +4. The next one was +8. The next one was +12. The next one was +4, and the next one was +6. But okay, it's caught up now, so I can go show it to you too. Yeah, let's go all the way back. All right. So here we go. We started out here on the ES. Now the slingshot was a little messed up here, so we didn't have any trade opportunities. Right here was our first opportunity. It was a 9:30, almost 9:31. There was a shot there at a long, then it turned around and it started to move down. Now here was our first opportunity on the downside right there, and that would have given you the goal for the day right there. And that was 4 minutes into the day. Waiting for data again. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Now, as far as YBR trades go, there was one right here along that would have been a break-even trade. It turned around and started going down. There was a shorting opportunity right there. And another shorting opportunity right over here. And a long opportunity off the BBC right here. Now, we didn't have any YBR trades in here, but we did have a long trade right there, and another long trade right there. Now it kept going, and yeah, we didn't have anything in there that we could do. Actually, we did right here. This up close right here, we could have taken along because we were below the MA1, so you didn't have to worry about the dots. Okay, so there was a long trade there. We broke dynamic resistance. There was another long trade there and there and there. And then the slingshot got messed up and you couldn't do anything for a few minutes. There was a short here. There was a YBR short here. Also a BBC short. That would have given you at least a point. Okay, and that's all in the first half an hour. Then we had a long trade right there. A long trade right there. Then it got choppy and we didn't have anything. It started to move again. And now we're at 10:06. There's a long trade right there that would have given you a point. A long trade right here that would have given you 2 points. A short trade right here. A bounce off the BBC right here. That would have given you a couple of points. YBR trade right here and a bounce off the BBC would have given you a point. Then we're just in chop, so I haven't done anything in here. Okay. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing in there. Nothing in there. It's in here. Look, our first ES trade. We took 4 ticks on that one. We took 8 ticks on the next one. And there was a long opportunity right there. A YBR trade. Long. YBR right there, long too. Let's keep scrolling to our next trade. There we had a break even right there. A break even right there. On this one, we picked up 12 ticks to put us at plus 24. Then we picked up 4 ticks to put us at plus 28. And then we picked up 6 ticks to put us at plus 34. There were YBR trades all through here too. Right there was a YBR trade. This was a bounce off the BBC and a YBR trade at the same time. Again, when you get those are really high probability. And here we had a YBR short. And then we get into the break, but here we had a YBR long and a bounce off the BBC. That move up. Okay, then we get into the break here. And during the break, let's see, what do we have? Nothing, nothing, nothing. A bounce off the BBC short right here. And nothing, 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 nothing. Yeah, and that was it. And that was it for the morning session. So on the morning session, let's go back here to the spreadsheet. Okay, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. So on the morning session, we were +7 on crude and +34 on the ES. That put us at +$495 a contract this morning. Today it took 61 minutes and 5 trades to get to $100 a contract, and we took a total of 12 trades. On the month now, we're at $10,723. That's over 17 trading days, averaging $630 per contract per trading day. And we are now on our 153rd consecutive day of getting our goal. On the year now, we're at $74,179. That's over 178 trading days, averaging $416 per contract per trading day. Okay. If you are not part of the CFRN family and you want to become part of the CFRN family, go to EminiFuturesTrading.com. EminiFuturesTrading.com. We've made it simple, easy, and affordable. Just go there and follow the instructions. Okay, it's pretty simple. All right, and with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready. Okay.
Yes, I am ready. And so let me do that. And then do that.
There you go.
And there we go. Hey, I got a
There we go.
question. I was trying to get some audio settings working yesterday. Anyway, now you're going to hear a pop, but this is before and after. I'm trying to figure out which is better. Okay, this is before. Ouch. And this is after. Can you tell the difference between the before and the after?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Which is
the
better?
The after is much quieter.
Uh-huh.
Before is louder.
Yeah.
The after is quieter.
Mm-hmm.
And the after has kind of there's something a little bit messed up with the audio. I don't, I was thinking it was me.
Yeah.
And because I'm working remotely, I was thinking it was me.
Mm-hmm.
But the audio, it gets kind of squashed, like you're talking in a bubble or something.
I'm back to the before now. Is that better?
Right now it is. I don't. Just talk a little bit. And,
yeah. No, this is how I was talking before, when you first came on.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. So, as long as people can hear me, that's all I'm concerned about. Can you hear me now? Is that a no? Hey, how about somebody in the chat box? Can you hear me? Give me an X, Y, or Z. I'm guessing nobody can hear me now. Raise
I'm
it
good.
loud and clear. Okay. All right.
There you go. Okay.
Right.
That's better.
So raise it loud and clear. So, but did you completely lose my audio there for a minute?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Interesting.
But
okay. All right. Well, Todd says that they hear me, so. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's get rolling. Okay.
All right. Recap of the recap.
Yes, sir.
Today, 61 minutes, 5 trades, $100 contract.
Good job.
Thank you.
Very good job. Okay. All right. Well, what we've already briefly covered, actually we covered it in pretty good detail. This week so far, Logic 247, this is the one where the alerts come out around the clock as opportunity presents. 41 alerts issued, 8 never triggered, still waiting on 1, 32 actionable alerts. Only 1 stopped out. This is a very unusual week because typically we average 20% being stopped out. So far this week, only 3%. But the week's not over. Now, the other alerts that we offer, and let me just do this. Now, as you all know, in order to become a CFRN passport holder, a lifetime passport, it's $5 grand, okay? Well worth every penny, considering the alerts you get and all the training that you get. When I say $5 grand, it's $49.97, okay? Almost $5 grand, all right? But because of the economy and all the things going on with jobs and money being tight, we try to come up with a way to make becoming a passport holder affordable to everyone, okay? Everyone. So, for limited time, we are offering the passport at $97 a week. I said $97 a week, which I think is a pretty fair deal. Now, at some point, you're going to go, well, wait a minute. I don't want to send these guys $97 a week for the rest of my life. So anytime that you choose, you can purchase the lifetime passport. Then you don't have to send us any more money. But for those who are passport holders, I mean, this is how their week has gone. We already went through it, so I won't stop on each one. But starting Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, when the market's open, our very first trade coming out of the gate, S&P short, dropped $687.50 per contract traded. If you traded that alert with one contract, well, you just paid for your next 6 weeks of everything. See, that 97 a week, it's not just for the Logic 247 alerts. It's not just for the Concierge Trade Alerts, which I'm about to go over with you. It's not just for the live training room. It's not just for the weekly trading zones. It's for everything we offer. Okay? Now, that offer will expire at some point, but for now, you can go to eminifuturestrading.com. You can become a passport holder today, and these alerts can start showing up on your screen as early as this afternoon. And as you can see, based upon everything here, you know, how many a day do you need? Wow, looks like one a week. If you just got one a week of these, that would cover the cost of your passport. So again, that's us doing our part to help all those who are struggling financially. You've always wanted to trade, your heart's set on trading, but maybe you just never had the money. So it kind of took care of that, making it affordable. And maybe you never really had the time, because you realize that you actually need to learn how to trade. Okay, well, you can trade the alerts. And Tim threw in, and the indicators, that's included as well. Yeah, as long as you're a passport holder, you have access to the indicators. And so maybe you're working 2 jobs with this economy. I don't know. So you can trade the alerts. So somebody asked me in a mentoring session the other day, well, what happens on the days that I can't show up for class? It's not a problem. Maybe your work schedule only allows you to show up 2 days a week for class. That's okay. It's sort of learn or earn as you learn situation. See, our ultimate goal is to teach you how to do what we do. We want you to learn to see the market the way we see it. We want you to think about it the way we think about it. And that will lead you to taking the same actions that we take, okay? So, as long as it takes for you to learn the methodology and the strategy, that's okay, because in the interim period, you can trade the alerts. Now, when you become a passport holder, we don't want you going live the same day, because your 2420 blueprint is going to clearly show you that before you go live, you got to first learn the methodology and the strategy, how to use the indicators. So you'll use your demo account or your SIM account to trade as you're learning the method, learning the strategy. Once you put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less, that's when the blueprint will give you the green light to go live with one contract. Now that you're live, the goal is to increase your account balance by $2,000. Once you accomplish that, then the next goal will be to add a second contract. The blueprint will tell you when it's time to add the second contract. Here's the big difference between contract number 1 and contract number 2. You had to fund the first contract with your money. Well, it's all your money, but your savings. But because with that first contract, your goal is to increase the account balance by $2,000 and then add the second contract, as you move forward, you're always increasing your trade size with profit you earned in the market. If there ever comes a time when the blueprint says, okay, it's time to add number 4 or number 7 or number 10, if you don't have the funds available in your account to underwrite adding that next contract, then you don't add. That's a good time to book a one-on-one mentoring session, which you have unlimited access to, so that we can go over your trades with you and help you figure out why it is that you don't have the funds available to add that next contract. Okay? Now, as a benchmark, think of the S&P. It seems to be the market most folks want to trade. If you have a daily goal of just 2 points, that's $100. Certainly not going to quit your day job making $100 a day. But over time, as you increase the number of contracts that you're trading, well, by the time you earn your way up to 5 contracts, that $100 a day that you were making off of 2 points is now $500 a day. And by the time you earn your way up to trading 10 contracts, the same 2 points is now $1,000 a day. And that actually puts you in the top 3% of wage earners worldwide. Now, make no mistake, trading is not easy. Okay? Right here, Futures Magazine wrote an article years ago, 9 out of 10 new traders fail. I wanted to know why, so I did my own investigation, and it's real simple. No teacher. Imagine you trying to fly an airplane if nobody taught you how to fly an airplane, or do brain surgery if you didn't have any medical training. You follow me? But there's something about trading. It's the low barrier to entry. It's the mesmerizing magic that so many of these quote-unquote gurus are able to pull off using historic charts, saying things like, well, if you had got in here and if you'd have got out here, wow, look at all that money you'd have made. We don't do that. We don't insult your intelligence. We're very transparent. The alerts go out before they trigger. And every day on the show here, Michael recaps every trade he placed in the live training room. I go through and recap every single alert, the logic, the concierge, and we're going to go to the concierge alerts right now. Now, those logic alerts we just went through, those are based on current price action. The concierge trade alerts, which I'm going to show you now, those are based on historic price action. And when the two, both the logic and the concierge, are both pointing at the same important price, important area, that's where you'll find some of your highest probability, lowest risk trade setups. So these were the concierge alerts from last night. They got out at 7:05 p.m. Eastern, 1 hour after the Globex open. S&P, Dow, Russell. If you want to grab a screenshot, go ahead. Crude, NQ, gold, and silver. Now, I don't think we have a lot of pound traders, and we've got a few euro traders. I may leave that in. And I don't think we have a lot of 10-year note traders. So those are probably going to come out, and I might replace them with something else. I may not. It depends upon the feedback I get from you guys. Okay, we still got some time before Dr. Tom shows up. So let's go to a daily chart of the S&P. And there it is. Okay. Now, we had a nice run up. It started, this last leg up, started on June 29th, and we put in the high on September 3rd. Now, if we use our fib tool, we can grab this swing low, and we can pull our fibs right up to that most recent swing high. Okay? All right. Now, from the low to the high, we had an initial retracement to the 24% fib, and we bounced quite nicely. We came back to the BBC, that just stands for bull bear cross. When price is above this green line, BBC, bull bear cross, we anticipate higher prices. And when price is below, we anticipate lower prices. Bullish, bearish, really simple. You'll find that everything we do is very simple. We work very hard for a lot of years to create something that is this simple, something that you actually can learn. No black box mysteries involved. So after that bounce off the 24% fib, price continued down. We traveled through the 38% fib retracement. We got almost to the 50. Buyers came in. They ran it back up to the BBC. Now, when we approached the BBC from below, we expected to be good resistance, and it was. It sent us back down almost to that 50% fib again. Buyers again came in, ran it right back up to the BBC, where once again we found resistance. This time it took us all the way down almost to the 62% Fibonacci retracement. Once again, buyers came in today and they're bouncing it. Now, we actually hit the 62% fib during the session that started last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Once we got to red and falling here on the green candle, this is today, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, as we rallied up to red and falling, which represents bearishness or resistance, just as blue and climbing represents bullish or support. Okay. Here we are today, catching that bounce, and we talked about this yesterday. We said if we get to the 62, if we touch the 62, that should give us a nice bounce. And the 62 is at 3206, and we'll get rid of that because we've already filled it. There we go. And so today's high from the 62% fib at 3206, we bounced up to 3253. That's a nice bounce. Okay. Question now is, will we continue climbing up to red and falling, which is also that 50% fib? If we can bounce to there, then the high probability move is back to the 62. If we get through the 62, now it's possible the bottom could fall out today. We might not make the rally all the way up, but if we get below the 62 and we get below these lows right here, we have a real nice window of opportunity. And this is where our major support is right now, where our bullish cross took place. It's about roughly 3704, 3705. It's an area. But that's where if we get below the 62, then the next support will be this area right here. And we anticipate there being a very nice bounce. In fact, it might be more than a bounce. Once we get to this area, that could be the turnaround point or reversal. Okay, we'll have had big leg up, big leg down, and that may be where the reversal comes in and we start to put in higher prices. Okay, now looks like somebody just spammed the discussion group, so let me just jump in there real quick and unspam that. I will delete, I will ban user, I will report spam, I will delete all from Majid, and I will say done. Okay, there we go. That's how you take care of that. Mike B says, thoughts on missing the lowest zone. Can the 62% fib override the price from getting to the lowest zone? Are you saying, could this prevent us from getting to the lowest zone at 31.88? It could. You'll notice that these lows here are 31.84. The swing low so far is 31.98. So we've come within 10 points of the lowest weekly trading zone for this week. But honestly, I don't think we're quite done on the downside just yet. So we'll just have to be patient and see. But thanks for the question. Okay, now we'll go take a look at a 30-minute S&P chart. Okay, all right. Now, when these concierge trade alerts come in, okay, remember you've got two alert channels. The logic, which we just looked at, where they come in one at a time as opportunity presents. This comes in at the beginning of the Globex session as one static report. All right. What you do when you get these is you go to your chart, you put two lines in the sand. Put one at 32.75, put one at 32.15. Everything in between is the market making up its mind what it really wants to do. So if we put a line at 32.75, we can see that that hasn't triggered. And on the short side, 32.15, that triggered right about here. Okay, important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So sell 32.15. Okay. All right, so this first little drop from 32.15 took us down to 32.10. Okay, you see that pop up right there, low 32.10. So that's a 5-point drop at $50 a point. That's $250 per contract traded. Then we get above the trigger. We trigger again. This time we put in a swing low at 32.10 and a quarter, so 4 3/4 points. Okay, at $50 a point. So call it $225, $250 per contract traded. All right, we get back above the trigger again. This time we put in a swing low at 32 or 31.98. 31.98. So that would be 17 points. 17 times 50. $850 per contract traded. Now, it's important to understand that this $250 trade, this 200 and change trade per contract, and this $850 per contract trade, you see, that's on top of these, right? Important to understand. S&P. up here somewhere. This is from yesterday. Selling 32.67. That was this one here. In fact, I put this one out on the show yesterday. So there should be another one right below that. Yeah, it was during the show. I walked through how I do the alerts, how I put them together. So if you missed yesterday's show, you might want to watch that. Okay. And we never quite made it to the final target, but we made it to the first target, the second target, the third target, and the fourth target, and then we continued to drop. Now, chances are, as I scroll down, there will be another S&P alert from last night. Right here. This one, okay. And this went out at 9:22 p.m. Pacific time. Remember, it's whenever opportunity presents itself. Sell 32.20, down to 32.18, down to 32.15, down to 32.13. This was worth $275 per contract traded. Okay, that's on top of these three. So when you wonder, what did you get? What do I get for my $97 a week? Well, that's what you get. Okay. All right. Now let's move through the rest of these real quick. See if we can get them done. Before Dr. Tom shows up, let me find him again. Okay, on the Dow, short at 26567. 26567. Okay. Better write that down. It's a lot of numbers to remember. 26567. All right. Okay. Now the first drop took us down to, come on, 522. So 67 minus 22. It's 45 points at $5 a point. It's $225 per contract traded. Price got back above the trigger, did it again, basically the exact same level. The yellow line means it's from a previous week, the weekly trading zone line. Then we get back above the trigger and do it again. So it 225 per contract, 225 per contract, 225 per contract, and then this one dropped down to 477. So 567 minus 477 is 90 points at $5 a point. It's $450 per contract traded. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, plus we also had the Logic 247 alerts that I just went over with you. Okay, I just got a message from Dr. Tom, so he'll be joining us here in just a second. Let me fire him off a text message, letting him know that sounds great. He's just shooting me a message on the topic he would like to discuss today. Okay, so I messaged him back. He'll be here in a minute. That's right, so we covered the S&P, we covered the Dow. Remember, on the Dow, along with the logic alerts, Concierge, we had 1, 2, 3, 4. Any one of those 4 would have given you your points for the day. Okay. Let's go to Russell. Okay. All right. The alert last night for the Russell was to be short 1443. Swing low was 41.80. So basically about a point, a little over a point. Then it gets back above the trigger, does the same thing. It's back above the trigger. This time we drop to 1438. The low is 1430. Let's just call it 1439. So that's 4 points at $50 a point. It's $200 per contract traded. Then we get back above the trigger, and we do it again. This time we drop from 43 to 27. So 43 minus 27, 16 points at $50 a point. That's $800 per contract traded. Then we get back above the trigger, and you guessed it, we did it again. And now the market looks like it actually wants to move higher. Okay. Now let me keep an eye out here for Dr. Tom, because I know he's going to be popping in a minute. Whatever we don't get covered, there he is. Hey, Dr. Tom, it looks like you're muted on your end, so whenever you want to open up your mic, I'll open you up on this side. If you're busy doing something, go ahead and finish it up.
Okay, I'm good now.
Now you're good. Hey, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. Good to be here.
So, how's your week been?
Well, it's been very eventful.
Has it?
A lot of people are taking advantage of the pullback in the gold price, and we've been shipping.
I bet you have. I bet you have.
So, how has your week been going?
Good times for the gold, man. It's been good, Dr. Tom. Thank you for asking.
Well, good.
Now, in your message, you said that you wanted to talk about the concept of mob rule, which I think is a timely thing to speak on. Will you be using the screens or nay?
No, I will not. I just kind of like to discuss with you. I know you hate talking about politics, but what I have in mind is not politics. It's really just about the social fabric of the country, regardless of whether somebody's a liberal or conservative or whatever. This whole concept of no justice, no peace means that if the courts rule and you don't like the ruling, then we're going to tear everything down. So, or we could have mob rule, or we could have the rule of law.
Okay. I just Googled define mob rule, and this is what I got. Control of a political situation by those outside the conventional or lawful realm, typically involving violence and intimidation.
Read that again, please.
Okay. They're using it as a noun. Control of a political situation by those outside the conventional or lawful realm, typically involving violence and intimidation.
Wow. Well, I could have said it myself better, so I guess that's it for today.
By outside of conventional or lawful realm, I assume they mean outside of our law, our governing laws, our police, the authorities.
and the courts in
the
particular.
people that you and I were taught to respect as we were growing up.
Yeah, see, Dwayne, I have been, for a long time, I've been against secret courts, whether it's the FISA courts or an institution that goes all the way back to English common law, which is a grand jury. I don't think that deliberations should be held outside of the view of the public. And grand juries in general almost always indict. I mean, one famous prosecutor said, I could get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich because, and he's right. I mean, the defendant is not allowed to have his counsel in the room with him. He's not allowed to present evidence. He's not allowed to call witnesses in most cases. The prosecutor presents his case, and it's a one-sided case. So almost always the grand jury indicts. Now, in some of the recent cases where the grand jury heard only one side, a negative side, and failed to indict, you would think that people would be confident that they ruled properly because they didn't have anything what's called probative, anything that would help the defendant in any way. And yet they looked at all the facts that were presented by witnesses, by the cops, by other witnesses and so on. And they said there's no probable cause that a crime has been committed. And yet they'll still riot and burn if they don't get the ruling they want. So what happened last night in Louisville, Kentucky, is a perfect example of this, Dwayne.
Now, what I know there was violence. I believe 2 police officers were shot, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
This had to do with the case of Breonna Taylor and her gangster drug dealing boyfriend.
Okay.
She's been presented as a paragon of virtue, an EMT, a wonderful person who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. However, she was living with.
Because I asked my wife, I said she's wearing some kind of a uniform, so she was an EMT.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And there's some wonderful EMTs out there, but when I worked as a paramedic at the fire department,
I was getting ready to say you were one.
Yeah. Well, I was a paramedic, which is what they used to call an EMT 2. Mm-hmm. So it's a step above an EMT because paramedics can administer drugs and so on. But anyway, I have witnessed EMTs stealing drugs from the bedside table of someone who just died and grabbing their OxyContin and sticking it in their pocket. They're fairly low-paid people, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And so just like in any profession, just because you're an EMT or a school teacher or whatever, doesn't mean that you're a good guy. Now, there's been no accusations of criminality on the part of Breonna Taylor, but the fact is she had to know that the guy she's living with was dealing drugs because he was dealing drugs out of that apartment. Mm-hmm. And the police had a no-knock warrant, which means that they know they're in imminent danger when they enter that apartment or house or whatever business, because the person they're going to arrest is a known violent person who carries weapons. Right. So they had this no-knock warrant, but as the Attorney General, a black guy, of Kentucky said they didn't use it.
I was going to say,
They knocked.
I thought I heard that some witness there said that he clearly heard them, announce themselves and knock, 3 times or whatever before entering the
Yes.
premises. Okay.
They actually beat on the door. And so,
And
you know,
usually when the
some
cops
people
come to
just,
your door and beat on your door, that's you said that well. They don't usually tap gently. I mean, if it's, I mean, if you believe any of the TV shows, I suppose, that you watch, usually when they come in, they come in hard and it's bang, bang, bang. So, anyway.
well, first of all, you know, when I would do things like that, unfortunately, I didn't have to do it too often. I mostly worked as a paramedic on the sheriff's helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going in, we want to make sure that people hear us,
Right,
so that they'll be intimidated and not shoot at us.
right.
Okay. So anyway, the guy knew, and as soon as they opened the door, he started firing, and he hit one of the cops. And so naturally, they returned fire. And unfortunately, she was caught in the crossfire. So that's the setup. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, it's not just this case. It's like this is happening all across the country. If the mob doesn't get what the mob wants, then it says, well, we're going to burn down the system. They tried to burn down courthouses. They have burned down police stations and so on. At the very least, there's always a mob. In the George Floyd situation, obviously, the cop that killed George Floyd was very, very wrong.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
the other police officers.
Aside all the extenuating circumstances that he was in the process of dying when they got there because of how much drugs he had in his system, all that aside, still what the police officer did on video, it was wrong. He should have never done that. So yeah. I agree with you.
And the cops that were standing around, they were junior cops. He was a senior officer on the scene. He did not rank him, but he had seniority. And so they said, well, hey, he's the top cop. We couldn't do anything. I'm sorry, if I had been there, I would have gone and put him in a headlock and dragged him off the guy, even if I got fired for it, because it was the wrong thing to do.
Yes.
But my wife and I were having a conversation about it, and she said, well, at least they'll be happy because he was arrested. I said, no, that's not going to satisfy him. I said, if he's charged with manslaughter or second-degree murder, that's not going to satisfy him. Only thing that would slightly make him happy is if he was charged with first-degree murder and tried within the hour and taken out and hung in public immediately after a conviction, no appeals. But even that wouldn't make him happy, because you cannot make a mob happy. Mobs are not reasonable. They would have, if they'd done all that, if they'd executed him on the spot, they would have wanted all the other cops whose crime was standing around, but who didn't harm George Floyd at all. The mob wouldn't have been happy even if they had been convicted of first-degree murder. You cannot placate a mob, as a lot of these mayors have tried to do. Mm-hmm. Look at the mayor of Portland.
Right.
Boy, he went out there.
That was embarrassing.
Oh, man. The guy's linking arms with him. I'm in solidarity with you. And they told him the only thing he could do is resign and get out of the way. Mm-hmm. The mayor of Seattle, who spent millions of dollars actually blocking off this little made-up nation that they decide to have with huge concrete barriers to keep the police from going in there, and did everything to appease them, met every one of their demands, only changed her mind when they surrounded her place and started threatening her. And then she realized, I've helped create a monster.
Yeah.
So
That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
So there's two really big things going on here. One is that it's foolish to try and to reason with a mob. You don't, if you've got a child who's going around smashing everything up in the house with a baseball bat, you don't reason with him. You take the baseball bat away from him, and you discipline him.
That's right.
Okay.
Not with the
You
bat.
do the same thing with a mob.
Yeah.
You
I was just saying,
take
you
away their-
discipline the child, but not with the bat.
Not with a bat. No. I hope I didn't imply that. Although there have been times. No, only kidding.
It's a day.
But you take away their strength by not allowing them to congregate into mobs, and by using non-lethal means of dispersing a mob, like the rubber bullets, the tear gas, flashbangs, and so on. But now, a lot of these mayors and governors won't even let the police use non-lethal means. So what are they left with? Saying, please stop,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
shooting with real bullets to defend their lives. That's their options. And I really think that sometimes some of these politicians want that. They want the police to kill some of the rioters, because then that gives them another talking point. So the politicians are enablers of all of this. You don't see this in cities run by conservatives. They quickly move to put it down if they don't have the resources in a city. They call them the sheriff's department or mutual support from other cities nearby. If that doesn't work, they call them the state police. And if it's still too big for them, they call them the National Guard. It's just that simple. That's the way you deal with rioters and mobs. And yet the president has offered to send in the National Guard multiple times to some of these states, and the governors refuse. Now, in reality, he could use what's called the Insurrection Act, which is federal. And even though it's within a city or a state, every place in the country is within a city or a state,
Right.
but federal law still applies. He could invoke the Insurrection Act, but that would be a really, really big deal. And then send in federal troops. It's been a political decision not to do that, because then they would say, well, he's taken away our states' rights and so on. And he's a believer in states' rights. He's allowed the governors to run their states the way that they feel that they should do it, even when he knows they're dead wrong. But anyway, that's one part of it. Just the fact that you have to deal with the mob with appropriate force. But the second thing is, you see, and these are well-meaning people. I mean, you hear both conservatives and liberals saying, well, we've got to sit down and talk with the leaders of these groups, the Antifa, the Black Lives Matter, all these things, and tell them, you're ruining your own neighborhoods. In some cases, they burn down every grocery store and an entire neighborhood. And the poor people, the elderly people, have no way to buy food. They call them food deserts.
Yeah.
They're creating food deserts. Stores, Target has held out as long as it could, but now they're just pulling out of some of these cities. And that's the only place where you can shop in some of these areas.
Tim just shared a link. Ann Coulter wrote a book 10 years ago called Demonic, How the Liberal Mob is Endangering America. And the little blurb says, the demon is a mob and the mob is demonic. The Democratic Party activates mobs, depends on mobs, coddles mobs, publicizes and celebrates mobs. It is the mob, sweeping in its scope and relentless in its argument. Demonic, the book, explains the peculiarities of liberals as standard groupthink behavior. To understand mobs is to understand liberals. Thanks for sharing that, Tim. This is written years
Thank
ago.
you, Tim. But, you know, see, I was trying to keep this non-political. I didn't mention Democrat once.
Okay. All right.
Now you had to bring up
Now-
Democrat.
All right.
Now you've let the genie out of the bottle. Okay.
Sorry.
Well, no, seriously. You know, I try. I really try. But the fact is, she's right. If you look at the platform of the Democrat Party, it goes against everything that the Constitution stands for, that the vast majority of Americans, even most Democrats, do not believe in most of the things that are in the Democrat Party platform. They just don't read it. I have one friend, he's a pastor, and he's sending out a thing from a website called Priests for Life. It's Catholic priests that are against abortion and so on, but they also talk about all the different aspects of the liberal agenda and how it conflicts with the Constitution and the Bible. And the great majority of people in this country, whether they're Christians or Jews, do believe in the tenets of the Bible. You know, they don't believe that you should go out and riot and, you know, peaceful protest is one thing, but, you know, the Democrats are actually encouraging the riots. And
funding
their
it.
main supporters, I'm sorry?
Encouraging and funding.
Yes. That's what I was about to say.
Somebody's got to pay for those bricks.
And anybody that has any information, because I've been searching for it besides George Soros, who the other people are that are directly funding the training, the arming, and so on. Like, it, for instance, in Louisville last night, there was a big UPS truck parked in a parking lot close by where the riots took place and where the shooting of the police officers took place, and had all the equipment in there, stuff for them to throw at the cops. You know, so far they've been pretty careful about not using guns during the riots, because then they know everything's, but they're throwing Molotov cocktails at them, they're throwing bricks at them, rocks, and so on. But then last night, some guy runs up to a cop car, and he didn't kill, but he shot 2 cops, and then he runs off. And after a while, the video surfaced of a late model Mercedes rolling up to pick him up. How many people you know that live in ghettos that can afford a late model Mercedes?
Well,
the point is
the pimps, the kingpins. But yeah, I get your point.
Yeah, the point is that we keep talking about, you know, why are people destroying their own neighborhoods? Why are they making them food deserts? Why are they making it impossible for elderly people to buy the necessities of life? The answer is they're not. Most of the people doing this, I'm convinced, are not from those neighborhoods. I've felt that for a long time.
Right. No, they're not. They're absolutely not from those neighborhoods, and they would not. I don't think they would be out there doing it if they weren't getting paid to do it. These people are not Rosa Parks.
No, not by any shape, but until lately, it's been mostly anecdotal evidence. You know, like police has said, you know, wherever there's a riot, they see a whole bunch of out-of-state license plates. on late model cars, okay? Or you hear about the Uber drivers picking up these guys at the airport, wonder who's paying for the flights, right? And taking them to nice fancy hotels where they change into their riot clothes, you know, their black gear and everything.
Their
And
uniform,
go out.
right?
Yeah.
It
And
should be pretty simple, I would think, to trace and to track that. I mean, maybe not for you and I, but for government, for the government, for the police, the FBI. I mean, there's got to be a humongous paper trail somewhere. Follow the money, as
yeah, but unless you catch them, then you don't know who to backtrack the paper trail from. But now we have empirical evidence, not just anecdotal evidence. In Kenosha, Wisconsin, the police, they only arrested the really violent people, and the people they arrested came from 44 different cities. There's actually a website, they call it Rent a Crowd, but it's really Rent a Mob.
You mentioned that. You turned us on to that last week or the week before, I think it was.
So somebody's paying for this, and I would appreciate if anybody that has information, if you go to conservativetruth.com, that's my political website, if you will, conservativetruth.com.
This morning, two
and
Louisville police officers.
just send me a note via there if you have any articles, links regarding who is funding this. I mean, everyone knows George Soros is. He's very open about it. He has given billions of dollars to the supposedly grassroots organization, which is admittedly on their own website a Marxist organization dedicated to the overthrow of the U.S. government, to the destruction of the nuclear family,
I heard they took
and
that
so on.
part off their website about destroying the nuclear family. Now, I haven't gone and checked it myself, so I don't know.
Well, fortunately, I grabbed a screenshot of it because I figured they would.
Okay.
I do that a lot, by the way, but it's public record that George Soros has donated billions of dollars to them. This is not a grassroots organization. If anyone that has a following, you know, like a charismatic person, has a lot of people in a city or county, has people that follow him or her, and is willing to start a Black Lives Matter chapter in that city, they will fund it initially with $500,000, $500,000. You can rent a lot of agitators for that. But the point is that these people are not destroying their own neighborhoods. They could care less about the people there. Just like, you know, I hate to say it, but, you know, they did a great thing for themselves as a PR move by calling the organization Black Lives Matter, because it just, who would not agree with that?
Sure.
But they could care less about Black lives.
That's right.
The great majority of the people who are being killed as a result of these riots are Black people, including citizens and also Black police officers, security guards, Black people trying to defend their own businesses. And the issue that they're supposedly protesting, which is the killing of unarmed Black people by white cops, totally fails in the face of real evidence. In 2019, there were 21 killings of unarmed people by police. 2/3 of those people were white people. 1/3 were Black people. Black people represent 13% of the population. You do the numbers. And in many cases, it wasn't a white cop at all. It was a Black cop who killed both the white offenders and the Black ones. And they only killed people if they were resisting violently, or if the police had reason to believe that their lives were in danger, that the people had guns. In some cases, they were armed, and someone in the crowd ran and picked up the gun and took off with it. But let's say that they were all unarmed people. The vast majority, but 2/3, were white people killed by cops, and you never see that in the news. But this is the thing they're hanging their hat on, is this is supposedly the reason for the riots. But it's not at all. Most of the rioters don't even know the name George Floyd.
Right. It's so sad.
So you know, I'm becoming more and more convinced that there's certain elements that are manipulating all this that really want to see a civil war in the United States. They want to see us out in the streets fighting each other. Well, we're seeing it now, but mostly one side is doing the fighting. But we're not going to see, once it gets out in the suburbs, like they threatened to do, you're not going to see the people in the countryside, in the suburbs, just sit back quietly as these people come through and start shooting through their windows. They're going to come out and defend their families and their property. And it's going to get really, really nasty. And this is what the people that want to have, for want of a better word, you know, it's kind of old-fashioned phrase, but a one world order. You know, they want to have the whole world governed by a small elite group of people. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I know it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but like, you know, it's not a conspiracy theory if it's true. It's not a theory, it's a truth. And there have been people like the Rockefellers. Nelson Rockefeller wrote a book and he says, my family and I have been accused, this is not a direct quote, but you can look it up, it's pretty close. My family and I have been accused of wanting the United States to become a part of a one world government that would govern according to such and such principles. I can't remember his exact words. And he says, if that is the accusation that we stand accused of, we admit to it. That is our intention. Okay. We've had Rockefellers who were governors, senators, and so on inside the government, and the family is committed to a one world government. We don't want to be part of a one world government, folks. We do not want someone like the UN, who took the U.S. off of the Human Rights Council and put Sudan on there, a country that enslaves Christians just because they're Christians and sells them to other people to be used as slaves. They're on the Human Rights Council. They replaced the U.S. That, in a nutshell, is what the UN is. So, do you want the UN running the United States or anything like that? I certainly don't.
Me either, brother. Me either.
Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to get that off my chest. I'll get back to the gold standard next week, because I do believe that Trump is going to work to put us back on the gold standard. And he couldn't do it in his first 4 years, because this is not just Trump, it's any president, Republican or Democrat. If they're going to do something this controversial, they don't do it in their first term because they want to get elected to a second term. So they do things in the second term that they know is going to have a lot of opposition, because Wall Street hates gold. They absolutely despise gold because gold equals freedom. And they want to have complete control over what people can invest in. You realize that way over 95% of all pension plans, 401ks, IRAs, everything that people depend on for retirement, except the Social Security system, is invested in stocks. That's the antithesis of good sense when it comes to diversification. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. Only idiots do that. And yet, right now we have pension plans that are underfunded by $4 trillion. Why? Because back in the 80s and the 90s, when you could make 7 or 8% a year on average in the markets, that's when all these models were set up. So the model that is used by almost every public and private pension plan is a 7% return. Do you know of any pension plan that's getting anywhere near 7% return?
No.
Not even close. And exacerbating the problem is, it's become a Ponzi scheme, just like the Social Security system. I don't need to tell people how underfunded the Social Security system is. It's not just underfunded, it's zero funded. It has no funds. It depends totally on people who are working today, paying for the people who retired 10 years ago. So fewer and fewer people are contributing to the system, so it crashes and burns. But most people don't realize the same thing's happening with pension plans, because most companies are switching from pension plans to 401ks. So that means fewer people are contributing to the pension plans. The pension plans are not getting the 7% returns that are required to be able to take care of the people that are on the plan. So they're turning to riskier and riskier investments, like these mortgage-backed securities, which, many of those, the packages of mortgages that they sell include mortgages that have already been foreclosed on. But they're trying to get bigger and bigger returns and taking bigger and bigger risks, which means that a lot of these pension plans will fail. I talk to people every day about the IRAs and 401ks. If they're, quote, professionally managed, unquote, they're making less than 4% a year on average. Wow. And that's anecdotal. That's just people that I talk to. But if you look on the internet, you'll see the same thing. They're saying it's 5% or less. Well, inflation has averaged 5% for the last 30 years. So basically, if you don't get control of your own IRA and 401k or 401k, then you have no shot of making any money with it. At best, it's going to break even. So this is why we need to go back to sound money. And we'll talk about that next week. In the meantime, until the nation comes to its senses and goes back to a gold standard, which, by the way, is not a crazy idea. That's the fact that it's crazy, that it's archaic, all that, that's what's pushed by Wall Street. Because if people had a real option and knew about it, that they could invest in something that was solid and real and would protect them, they would take it. But try this. Go to your financial planner and say, I'm thinking of investing in gold. He'll say, oh, no, don't do that. Gold is very risky. The stock market's not risky, right? It's had at least a dozen crashes of 50% or better. And yet for 3,000 years, an ounce of gold has steadily maintained its value. It has always bought the same amount of food, clothing, labor, materials, and shelter, which is more risky. And also, what's more hypocritical? The stockbroker, the financial planner will tell you, don't buy gold because it's risky. Only buy stocks that I can make commissions on, because if he recommended gold, he gets fired. I know, because I almost got fired for doing that very thing, recommended to my clients. But guess who about 10% of my clients are? Stockbrokers and financial planners.
Right.
Who buy gold and at the same time tell their customers, how risky it is. So we'll jump back into that. But in the meantime, you can protect your family by putting them on the gold standard, or your business. I'm seeing more and more businesses buying gold and having that as part of their assets, not just keeping cash in the bank that's losing money to inflation every year. So if you go to CFRNgold.com
Just like
and
that.
request the information,
Are in gold.
I'll be glad to send it to you. Or if you want to call me, I'm available most of the time at 561-753-5998. It's 561-753-5998. Gold is at really good prices right now, and people are jumping on like crazy. And that's all I have to say. As I say in what do you call it?
That's all, folks.
Yeah. Who was that, Bugs Bunny?
No, Porky Pig, I think it was.
Oh, it was. Okay. It had to be one of those guys. My favorite's Donald Duck. I don't care what anybody says. Donald Duck is the coolest of all.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tom.
Okay, God bless everybody.
All right, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Okie doke. All right, covered the S&P. Covered the Dow. Okay, Dow just made a nice run to the upside. Okay, so we may see some higher prices yet. Let's see how it handles this number right here. Now, that is a previous weekly zone. But right overhead, at 27140, we have a this week weekly trading zone. Right there. Lowest zone is way down. Now, see how we bounced right off that previous weekly zone right there? It's always a good idea to hang on to the previous week's zones. Keep them on a notepad. Okay, so we bounced right off that thing to the tick. And then 26235, that is the lowest weekly zone for this week. 235. All right, so we covered the Dow, we covered the Russell, NQ, didn't cover the NQ yet. The NQ, bring them back up. NQ. All right, on the NQ. Short 107.79. Okay. $7.79. Okay. So 107.79. Okay. Now that is a current weekly zone at 748. All right. So from 79, we dropped to 48. So 79 minus 48 is 31. Okay, that move right there. I mean, we overshot it, but so it's more than, but we'll just use the number. Use the zone. That's 31 NQ points at $20 a point. It's $620 per contract traded. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So price got back above the trigger and handed out another $620 per contract traded. Then it got above the trigger and handed out another $620 per contract traded. Then it got back above the trigger and again delivered not only 620, the actual swing low down here. Let's take a peek. Swing low. What we've got? 663. So 779 minus 663. That's 116 points at $20 a point. That's $2,320 per contract traded. Right there. If this was the only trade you took all week, you had a great week. But you could have took this swing 1, 2, 3, 4. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. Okay. So now we go to crude. And the alert for crude was to be long 40.10. Okay. 40.10 is right there. So that was $100 per contract traded. And then from 40.10 to 40.25, that was $150 per contract traded. That's on the long side. And on the short side, 39.40, that, let's see, 39.40. These came out at 7 p.m. Eastern. So that's 1900 hours, which is right here. And again, the number was to be short 39.40. So, yes, right there, 39.40 down to 39.12. So from 40 to 10 would be 30, so $280 per contract traded. And then silver. Hi-ho. On silver, the alert was to be short 22.36. Is that it? 22. Come on. Come on down. 22.36. All right. So from 22.36, draw it all the way across because important prices, important areas are almost always tested. Okay. So from 22.36, we dropped to 21.86. That's a $2,500 per contract move. Then we got back above the trigger and did it again, and then we got back above the trigger and we did it again. The market made $7,500 per contract available across these three triggers. One contract. Also on silver, the concierge alert was to be long 23.54. And we're still waiting on that to happen. 23.54. So we might want to make a note. Okay, so that covers the logic alerts, that covers the concierge trade alerts. And the only thing standing between you having results such as these is you going to EminiFuturesTrading.com. You get the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, the weekly trading zones, the indicators, 2 hours of class every day, Monday through Friday, unlimited one-on-one mentoring, and around-the-clock support via our group discussion in Telegram. So, you can trade with confidence or you can trade with fear. You can start today. You won't have to dig too deep in your wallet because for right now, you can get your passport for just $97 a week. Anytime that you decide, hey, I want a lifetime passport because I don't want to have to pay $97 a week for the rest of my life, you can always upgrade. You can buy your passport at any time, or you don't even have to go the $97 a week. If you've seen it, you like it, you want it, you can buy your passport today. Or you can pay $97 a week until you make up your mind. Entirely up to you. All right, good word for the day. We've been talking about God wants you to succeed. We'll continue. Joshua 1:8. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. In Scripture, the word success simply means knowing and doing God's will for your life. Now, in our world today, success means a big house, shiny car, maybe 2 homes, maybe a boat, maybe your own plane. But in Scripture, success is defined as knowing and doing God's will for your life. Doesn't say anything about money, or houses, or property, or concubines, or any of that. Seems pretty simple, huh? For Joshua, success meant entering the promised land, conquering it, living there, and enjoying all its blessings every day. Listen to what God told him. Only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. Then you will make your way prosperous, and you will have good success. Joshua 1:7. There it is. That's the recipe for good success from a biblical perspective. True success involves these 3 things. Let's boil it down. Number 1, becoming what God wants you to be. Number 2, doing what God wants you to do. 3, having what God wants you to have. As you achieve the goals He has set for your life, you become successful. As the renowned author and speaker Dale Carnegie once observed, success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. In their endless quest for achievement, some people become so greedy and grasping that they're never satisfied. And because they are always wanting more, they fail to enjoy what God has already given them. Real success isn't a destination, it's a journey. It's joy created by progress. It's knowing that you're on schedule when it comes to God's assignment for your life. And that's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.